Hello, world. It is Tuesday, January 16th, 2024. And looking out the window at Defiance, it's kind of a hazy, overcast day today. Very cold again, single digits. It's not going to get out of the single digits today, with a little bit of snow flurries this morning, but mainly just cloudy and dreary. But, woohoo, it's going to be in the 20s tomorrow and Thursday. So a little bit of a warming trend, which will be nice. The devotion for today is written by Dwight Walter. Dwight bases the devotion upon Psalm 102, verse 7 from the New Revised Standard Version, updated edition. I lie awake. I am like a lonely bird on the housetop. And then Dwight writes, it's not easy for some people, including me, to speak openly about loneliness. So they remain silently lonely for loved ones, friends, and the good old days. They keep loneliness to themselves as if it is shameful or contagious. After all, loneliness has been declared an epidemic, a kind of spiritual virus that needs to be cured or avoided. But loneliness remains. The Bible is, in part, a testament of loneliness, a source of help, hope, and identification. In the beginning, one might imagine, God was lonely and created humankind in God's own image for companionship. Many of us also want to see ourselves reflected in those we created. Adam and Eve were likely lonely for Eden after their eviction, as are so many people today, longing for a safe and secure home. Even Adam must have been lonely for their child. Was Cain lonely for his brother? I'm lonely for my daughter, who died quite young in a sudden and tragic way. My son is lonely for his sister. Noah, afloat on a stinky boat, may have been lonely for his neighbors on whom he closed the gate. Imagine the loneliness of Jesus on the cross saying, why have you forsaken me? The Bible befriends us in our loneliness so we may be companion to the loneliness in others. Loneliness loves company. Enter the sad and lonely songs of Hank Williams, Roy Orbison, Billie Holiday, Bach, the Beatles, and many others to soothe our loneliness. Enter the writings of Dorothy Day, Hildegard of Bingen, Nelson Mandela, Martin Luther King Jr., and others to heal our loneliness. Loneliness and our response to it can contribute to the making of a sturdy, welcoming home in a garden, an ark, a desert, a cross, and a human heart. And Dwight's prayer. God of holy names, thank you for all the blessings, including loneliness, embedded in almost everything. And thank you for accepting my friend request. Amen. Well, a few thoughts that went through my mind as I was reading this. First, I thought of the pandemic when we were in the thick of it and had to isolate and couldn't do much. And I in particular, because I'm asthmatic, I normally did all the grocery shopping and that sort of thing. But before the vaccines were available, I was afraid. My wife Laurel was afraid of what the pandemic would do to me should I get it before I was vaccinated. And so she started doing all the shopping. So, and even church, things I did at church were remote. I did go into the office, but no one was ever there. My secretary was in her office, but we stayed away from each other. And it was a very lonely, isolating time. As difficult as that was, I can't imagine what it must be like for the people in war-torn areas like Gaza or the Ukraine. Their homes destroyed, isolated from everything that they know, that's familiar, that gives them a sense of belonging and comfort. Incredible amount of loneliness. But the other part of this reminded me that for those who believe, they're never alone. If you believe in God, God is always there, whether we sense God or not. Sometimes we feel distant from God, but it's not God And in my feeling, it's not God who has withdrawn, but rather us who have just failed to see God. And that can happen in good times as well as bad. Things are going so well, we don't think of God. And sometimes in our despair, we feel so alone and isolated. But the presence of God can be in the kind words of someone reaching out just to say hello, a telephone call, a note, a handwritten note. I mean, who does handwritten notes now? They mean so much, I think, when we get them. Um, you don't know what impact you will have on someone when they most need it. It's one of the reasons why I try to act on if someone comes up in my own mind for some whatever reason, I try to contact that person in some way just to touch base with them. And sometimes that's all something that they needed, and it was just at the right moment. And sometimes that's all people really need is just human contact and concern and compassion coming from someone else to help them work through their loneliness. But on the other hand, as an introvert, it's also okay to be alone. Well, being alone doesn't mean necessarily that you're lonely. Um, being surrounded by people doesn't mean that you're not feeling loneliness either. I felt a little bit of that sometimes in Germany, so far from family and friends. And we were living there for 2 years. But yet I was surrounded by people. So, anyway, those are my thoughts and impressions from this devotion and how it impacted me. Um, yours may be different. So, if you're feeling lonely, don't be afraid to reach out. If you know of someone who may be going through a difficult time and might feel alone, reach out just to say hello, just to talk to them. Not try to cure them or anything, but just be present for them. Hope you have a good day and hope to talk to you again soon.